Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
And a wonderful morning to you. This is Newsline, live as always from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And this morning we are joined by the former secretary of Pressifact, the Presidential Commission set up to look into serious frauds, allegations of fraud. And he's here in person, Mr. Lasil De Silva. Very good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Faraz.
It's wonderful to see you again.
Same here to be with you.
And it's a great pleasure having you on the set. Lasil, you are a man very concerned. You're concerned about the way the country is headed. And you have sent us, you have written an article. You say, Sri Lanka is a country ruined by politicians. It is a country which has been impoverished due to bad governance. There is no law and order in this country. It has now become nearly a hell on earth. If people do not realize the impending dangers, there will be a day very soon that it could become even more fierce and dreadful. We could see everybody now wants to make all types of comments, probably for the sake of making comments based on their point of view with regard to the burning issues. Sri Lanka is a country ruined by politicians. That's a bit of a harsh statement, isn't it?
That is basically, the statement I have heard from a number of people who are my friends. And they accuse all the governments, what they say is since independence, right?
Oh, every government?
Most of the governments,
right.
I would say, most of the governments, I would particularly say after 70s, right? Things have been so bad. And at the moment, they come to a stage. Now, we'll say it this way, the present government came to power in order to rectify most of those deficiencies in the system.
Indeed.
It has come to a stage, people are again frustrated, maybe due to the reason that the promises have not been fulfilled. So we see so much of problems in the country. There are all kinds of protests on the roads. Systems have collapsed. Judiciary, I believe, sometimes again, though they said that they are going to rectify all those deficiencies, right? The independence of the judiciary. The Attorney General is under, say, there's criticism against the Attorney General. All types of problems. That is a dangerous situation, I believe.
So, but there seems to be a growing impunity when it comes to accountability, when it comes to delivering good governance. They seem to be ignoring completely their promises, their undertakings made to the Republic, to the people of this country. 14 million plus people were able to vote, and they all listened to this, what now turns out to be absolute tosh, because this country hasn't turned around when it comes to corruption, certainly.
Yeah, now, when it comes to impunity, as you said, right, actually there is a big role that needs to be played by the parliament, right? So I would say this way, accountability. Go to the administrative system, there is no accountability, there is no fairness, there is no impartiality, right? Go to the judiciary, there are all types of allegations about various shortcomings. So I have a feeling, unless they pay serious attention with regard to these issues, that may not be the right thing. Things are, I would say, day by day, we are facing more and more problems, and it's high time to look into those things seriously.
Indeed, indeed. Now then, Lasil, I want to ask you this. You watch, you get your fair dose of reportage from the various new media organizations in print and on the broadcast side. Do you think, for a moment, that is it wrong what we're doing when we expose these things? Where people are wondering, probably wondering, what on earth this concern is about ICTA, right? When we spoke about the Google Loon, okay, the various statements made by the minister. Baharim Fernando, he said that not a cent of the public's monies had been spent. And then we have a list which we ran on the news last night.
Last night I saw it, yeah.
Approximately 9.8 million spent on various other matters. So either the minister is is spectacularly underinformed, or the minister is knowingly trying to paint a different picture.
I think so. Now start from.
But is it wrong, Lester?
No,
I
I think that's what we are also doing basically. Now you all at the peak, at the highest possible level, you're doing so much, and unless you do that, how do we come to know about the bond scam? Maybe there are so many other issues, and I know it is the role of the media, because the other state where you have a responsibility towards the people.
Yeah.
I believe you should continue to do that, and at some cost even we too do that. Unless we do that, how do we educate the people that there is corruption going on, even having promised that they will put an end to, say, corruption, inefficiency, restore good governance, rule of law, all that. So this is our problem. I think you should continue to do that. People expect you to do that. I think this is the way how it has to happen. Let me say, please, it is very unfortunate, right? We may have, there is a saying, if you elect, say, if the sheep elect wolves, they deserve to be eaten. So when they eat, shouldn't you, say, cry against, or at least open your mouth and say that you shouldn't do that?
Well, Lasil, almost everything that this government does is steeped in some controversy or other. In March 2015, the Prime Minister of this country, at that time in his third term as Prime Minister, because in the 100 days, he wrote a letter and he told his ministers that as a matter of policy, they should not accept unsolicited proposals and bids. And not 3 weeks later, he himself signed off on an award of a contract to some company to build a road. The same company that at the presidential elections they completely destroyed, saying that it was 90% corruption, 10% work. They appointed a committee. They looked at the figures, and the committee didn't find anything substantially wrong with the figures, nor with the quantities. Now, we were led to believe that this government's committed to good governance. Where on earth is the good governance?
I think what has really happened, they talk so much, but unfortunately, in reality, it does not happen. Because I remember I wrote in one of my articles, the PM has correctly identified that primarily the core function of Parliament should be first addressed, oversight, to ensure speedy, efficient and effective implementation of policy proposals and actions on behalf of the people. PM has therefore stressed the importance of the role of parliamentarians as a priority matter. Now, come back to the basic issue, right? They talk about all the rules, all the regulations, all the essential whatever steps that need to be taken. In reality, I'm asking you, does it happen? It does not happen. This is basically the problem in this country.
Yesterday, at the Presidential Commission looking into the issuance of bonds, yes, that again, it hasn't gone away yet. At that commission yesterday, the Deputy Treasury Secretary, Mr. Artikela, gave evidence. And in there, if we were to listen to him, he says that there was no shortfall the way the government is now presenting it, as though there was a shortfall needed in February. He's given the figures, and apparently there was no shortfall. So then, once more, are we to believe that there was a wholesale, premeditated intent to issue such a large bond for such a long time? Remember, Lassel, it was for 30 years. 30 years at a higher interest rate. 30 years where the people of this country would have to
carry
pay
the burden.
and carry the burden. 30 years, that's a long time, at a higher interest rate. And these are the people, Leslie, if you've been following the press, my heavens, it's a big show going on. We have the former governor of the central bank who turns up in crumpled suits, who's seen getting into and sometimes out of tuk-tuks, and turns up in a little 800cc car. Is he trying to convey a message? But then he celebrates his birthday at one of Sri Lanka's, Colombo's, better restaurants, certainly easily amongst the more expensive ones. Well, what's going on? What are they trying to do? Well, what kind of picture are they trying to paint?
It is very unfortunate. Now, there is a belief, right, that it has been a broad daylight robbery. Let me say it that way, right?
Broad daylight robbery. Now, that's something well described.
Right? It's a broad daylight robbery. Now, everybody from the, say, ruling UNP, they were trying to sort of cover it up. It is lucky that we had a president, whatever said and done, you must always say that.
Absolutely. Well, I firmly believe in the presidency after the bond issue.
So he took a step forward, and it was a bold step, I believe, in this unity government. Whatever said and done, I never expected at the initial stage that he will do so. It is very fortunate that a commission has been appointed, the commission goes into it, then there is all kinds of information that had come out, surfaced over the last couple of years, that proves that it is a broad daylight robbery. Now, we should wait and see what the outcome thereafter, whether suitable legal action will be. We are watching, certainly we are watching.
Do you think that RW, our dear Prime Minister, fourth time round, by the way, just for the record, do you think RW cares two hoots what the public thinks?
That is the biggest problem, because he's such an experienced politician, so many years.
Fourth time round.
Yeah, 40 years he's going to celebrate in Parliament, right? I don't think, he had gathered so much of experience. Why does he want to give protection to rogues? Because he himself knows very well that the former government was defeated. People came out, vociferously, and it was really because of those reasons that they were defeated. I don't think that the president, prime minister, should keep a blind eye, or at least, he behaves as if he doesn't see or he doesn't hear. People are watchful, end of the day, at the next elections, I believe, if they don't take corrective measures, we have no doubt that it will be the same fate for these people too, for the Prime Minister, because it's a lesson, a good lesson for the Prime Minister, I would say.
But is he learning? Because if he's not learning, he must depart.
Yeah, it does not, let me say, it does not seem that he is a person who learns by experience, through experience.
People usually make mistakes, and which is a good thing, because they then learn from that. So it's an experience thing. But in our Prime Minister's case, well, it appears that way, that nobody's learning anything. This is the same Prime Minister who, as the leader of the opposition, when under the previous administration they raised $500 million in a bond right at the beginning of their sort of foray into governance, who warned the potential lenders that in the government, when they come in, they will not pay that.
Yeah.
What do we say now? What do we say now when he has got a tainted bond, a very tainted bond, for 30 years, in which evidence after evidence heard at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry points to a very serious problem indeed? And
also, the latest statement that he made yesterday, but that he had such a big amount to be paid in terms of loans, right?
Yeah.
Now, having said all that, now that he had even been complaining that if he's elected, the kind of steps he would take, he has a lot to do. He has a lot to do, discipline his own members of parliament, party, cut down expenditure, you know.
You know, if the Bond Commission report is adverse to Ranil Wickremesinghe and his party, what would you say to him? Would you say boldly, Prime Minister, please go home?
Yeah, naturally, because if they had tried to cover up such serious lapses, you know, issues of corruption, I don't think the country, because there has been...
But if it is adverse, and not only that, but he should also finally throw in the towel.
Step down.
Step down as leader of the United National Party.
Step down, yes.
It has been so detrimental.
Yes, he should step down.
And we must bear in mind that he doesn't have a majority. He is the largest party in Parliament, yes, but he does not have a majority.
He has only 106 seats, basically, because...
He's 7 short.
Yeah, he's short of a few more seats. You know, more than all that, whatever said and done,
yes.
If it is proved that if there's a direct finger pointed at him,
yeah,
I don't think...
what would you say
it's not
in a case there? Would you...
You know, say cricketers, when they fail, they step down. Where there are the rulers in the world, right?
In Westminster that happens.
It had happened, right? So it's the right thing
regularly.
To do. Yes, unfortunately it doesn't happen here in Sri Lanka. That's another story.
But they aspire, when it suits them, they aspire to practice Westminster type politics.
Yeah,
those are not my words. Those
yeah.
are words coming from one Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Yeah. And actually not only making statements, you know, in reality, they should walk the talk. They should basically walk the talk. They should do what they say. Yathavadi tathakari, tathakari yathavadi.
Well, you know, now then, when we look at, there's this other matter. You know, when we look at the properties that are taken on rental by the various ministries, this is not just this government, okay? This has been going on. But do you think, Lasse, with your experience at Presifac and so on, do you think it may be a jolly good idea to have a look at all the serving ministry secretaries and check to see when it is that they've done their asset declarations? Is it a good idea?
Yeah, because there's a law which requires that you should furnish the details every year.
Yes. Now we saw in the case of Mr. Saman Kumara, the
he had not furnished
for 2 years.
Yeah, and there was an instance another officer was dealt with, and he was, I think, he jailed for 10 years or whatever, suspended jail term. So there are things in the past that they have done. If they had failed, unfortunately, the rule does not apply. The law does not.
The reason this has come to light is because there's so much of rental being paid, and in some cases, disgracefully, although the rent is being paid, the offices continue to be unoccupied.
Definitely, the agricultural department.
That's right.
It's very unfortunate things are happening that way. I believe this is a criminal waste of government money.
It's a criminal waste, isn't it?
Waste of government money. And they say that they don't have funds, maybe, you know, say for education, for various other requirements. Those are the basic requirements that need to be given priority.
Absolutely.
Right? Without wasting money for rentals. If I may go back, you know, since 1994, this story has been there. There had been number of reports published even in the COPE, the Public Accounts Committee, since I was fairly well, you know, aware of all that during my term, you know, I served in Parliament, right? Yeah. Now, until 1994, CEB, there were about some millions in their accounts. They rented out premises under, say Anuruddha Rathwakte.
Yeah.
From that day onwards, all the accounts became red. That's how, you know, they expended all that money. So this is a bad precedent they had created once again.
Yeah.
Having spoken so much about good governance, say rule of law, accountability, oversight, all that had miserably failed, I would say.
So let's unity, see on the face of it, unity seems to be a pretty good thing. But in this case, is it both sides that are ruining the system?
Naturally, because it is, you know, I always blame this government because they actually enacted the 19th Amendment to achieve their goals. Now they are fairly steady. They can't dissolve Parliament for another 4.5 years. For a period of 4.5 years, about 2 years or more had just lapsed, you know. They are left with a few more, say 2 years or so. Now, they created provisions for with a ceiling that they can't exceed if it is not a national government, right? I would ask you whether this is a national government. This is not a national government.
What is it? What is it? Is it a devious method?
It's a devious method in order to feed the needs of the greedy parliamentarians to hold various positions. Ministries enjoy all the perks and benefits. I don't think it's the right thing to do. It's not morally correct. It's not ethically correct. I would say it that way. You know, this is again, say, going behind. I mean, it's not the right thing to do.
In the previous government, we had what was popularly known as family power and family bandies, right? Where the one family, I think at one stage, they controlled over 70% of the budget, through various ministries.
I find even now see there are so many ministries. Actually, certain ministers have been given large number of institutions, right? There is no purpose at all, because
and some without rhyme and reason.
Yeah,
like the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Yeah, and Lotteries Board, right? They'll say they'll justify all that for various other reasons, but it is obvious. It is the common man's knowledge. They have been given all that maybe to earn extra buck for the next elections or whatever. That should not be the case. That should not be the case. I don't think.
You thought that they made enough out of the bond.
It could be, you know.
Well, there's a lot of money that's been made. We don't know where it's all gone, but no doubt somebody somewhere will find out. Now then, we just want to move on a little bit. The Google Loon thing, as we said, was finally the golden nugget in there. When you look through all the tosh and the salad, and you put aside the salad and look for the meat, you'd find it. It's called the spectrum. And then you say, you know, when the minister says, oh, that company wasn't even trading, and our reporter had done his homework, and it had the documents from Companies House, literally hot off the press, because it'd been there and then came for this press conference called by the minister, only to be confronted by this reporter who showed the papers out there and said, but minister, what do you call this then? This is the certificate of incorporation 6 months before. And then it was left to the CEO of ICTA, ICTA, Mohunden Kanage, to come and give us some sort of explanation. Some sort of explanation. I'm sorry, I'm treating this with rather contempt, because it now transpires that there's a huge conflict of interest between his role as the head of an apex technology agency in Sri Lanka, and a company in the USA, a listed company, also a technology company. So you're the CEO there, and then you're the CEO of this agency, and then this company is coming in trading here, or wanting to trade here, already traded with a few companies, including a company that is now revealed to have been owned by the previous regime's son.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. You know, this is a clear indication that there is conflict of interest. So,
well, when we spoke of when the bond, if you remember the bond at the start, in that first weekend in March, when we broadcast that, we definitely mentioned this very serious matter, conflict of interest. If they had acted then and there, the second bond wouldn't have happened, and the first one would have been stopped in its tracks.
You know, let me say it this way now. Countries like Singapore, where are they today, right? Lee Kuan Yew, let me quote that way.
Yeah.
He never tolerated impunity. He always said that he wanted capable men, you know, go on that basis. Unfortunately, it is sad in our country, it does not happen that way. You just can't, you should not permit this kind of situation and Particularly, we expected a lot from Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe. He was known as Mr. Clean. It is very unfortunate that it's happening.
Did you use that word on purpose? Was known as Mr. Clean.
Yeah, I do not think that
I
do not think that you can call Mr. Clean any longer. Let me say it that way.
What? That seems to be a considered opinion.
No, basically my feeling, it's my gut feeling right now, because there is enough and more evidence right now all over the country, right? There are ministers, various accusations. If that is the case, if you do not take action, I mean, if you are aiding and abetting, right, corruption, I believe you will not be able to be called Mr. Clean. Let me say it that way. You just can't do that. Right? It's happening just under your nose.
And this is because he says that he ordered the way the bonds were to be issued to be changed. He said that in Parliament.
No, actually, the system was changed. I don't think all that. Now, it is unfortunate having changed. Why did they change? In order to streamline the procedure, to ensure that there's no corrupt practices and all that. It has been just proved, though it has been changed, policies, procedures and systems have not been adopted. So,
James Bond, Ian Fleming, said in that series, James Bond, 007, License to Kill. In this case, this Bond was licensed to profit.
License to rob, is that right?
License to rob. Well, you know. But what can the people do? What can the people
No, actually, this is the same question you asked me. The media must come out. The people should go out. They must, write. They should speak. They must criticize, which is happening right around the country right now. They should.
But there is a real concern. I know this from people who stop me, quite ordinary people who stop me when they recognize me from being on this program. And they continuously thank us for this program. Naturally. By the way, we've been running for 2 years, but, they thank us. And I'm thinking to myself, this can't be, maybe one or two people, but constantly I'm being thanked. And when I ask them, why are you thanking me? They say, well, because you are trying to hold these people accountable and responsible.
This is important, it is very unfortunate to repeat the same thing, right? Where is the so-called oversight, accountability, fairness, I don't think all that is being practiced, right?
It is spoken of.
They spoke of all that prior to elections, and it is about time to correct all those if possible, because there is some more time left. If possible, if they could do that, I think people will definitely accept all that, because people want this change without fail.
But occasionally we have moments of sometimes greatness, or sometimes moments of great honesty. Like that powerful speech that Dr. Harsha De Silva, God bless him, I don't know what will befall him for having said those things, but he spoke about this culture of asking for everything, asking, give me, give me, give me.
Naturally the people have to ask, because now, having won the war, right, I always say the last government, former president, he took the country to the peak. And where did he fail? He did not take the country from the peak to the peak.
Yeah.
So now, having elected the present government, actually what we expected from them is all what we had lost in the past. Maybe it was good enough they reduced the prices of fuel, gas, all that. Those were, I would say steps taken in the right direction.
Yeah.
Now people have to ask, because they find the monies, government funds, all wasted for various other purposes. And he even said, stop pensions. What about our pension? I'm a poor fellow. I belong in
Perhaps
public.
they need this money because
no, I need the pension because I have stayed 30
but what about
years.
Their luxury cars
No,
and their luxury lifestyle?
They should not talk about pension as long as they get pensions for after 5 years, right?
Yes.
We get pension after about 30 odd years, and I don't have anything at all left right now. I need my pension, right? So cut down on the other expenses, curtail unnecessary expenditure, reduce, unnecessary payments of rentals and all that waste of money. So
do you think sort of promotions have started because they believe that the government is falling? I'm referring to an article still on today. The Lee Kuan Yew of Sri Lanka. Articles like this sort of spells to me that there is a sort of feeling that this government is failing. Do you think that's what it is?
It is a fact, right?
Yeah.
But we should give them a chance. It's about the best time now if they could correct themselves. If they come to the track.
Yes.
I think that's left in the hands of the President and the Prime Minister. I believe whatever said and done, to a great extent, I appreciate certain steps that the President has taken, particularly this bond, the commission.
As far as I'm concerned, and the bond is concerned, God save the President.
Yeah, right. So there are various other things President should look into, particularly the Prime Minister, right? Reduce the number of cabinet ministers. I don't know how they do that because they have started.
I thought we were going to put a full stop. You said the President should look into all sorts of things, including the Prime Minister.
That could be
Lassie De Silva, do you know what? The half an hour's gone. What a wonderful morning. Thank you so much for coming and joining us in the week that we're celebrating our 2 years of broadcasting. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presence. And that's about it from Newsline on Tuesday, the 18th of July, 2017. Take care. God bless.